Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Our March 28th, 2022 meeting is now called to order. We will begin by prayer by Councilman P.T. and then Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Nielsen.
Please stand and bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for allowing us here to gather. And Father, we just thank you in advance for wisdom and guidance, Lord God, as we conduct this meeting. And God, we just forever give you the praise and the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you to both of those councilmen. Next item on the agenda is reading and approval of the minutes from our March 14, 2022 meeting.
Mayor, make a motion that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of March 14th and it be approved. There be no corrections.
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes from our last meeting on March 14th. Comments, questions, council? Any public comments about this particular motion? All right, seeing none. Roll call vote, Ms. Stacy.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT,
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Awesome, awesome. Next item on the agenda is, and we always like to recognize individuals, and I will say I appreciate Councilwoman at-large Smith for bringing this to the forefront, about just the work, the diligence, the achievements in some regard of Mr. John Winston, who has been a longtime educator in the city, but also, not only that, also on the city council for many years and worked at the Northwestern State University. And, you know, all of those things, but we want to recognize him today for, how about I just read this, and we want to get a picture with you in just a minute, Mr. Winston, but also allow you, before the picture, to make some comments, say some words. This is, you made a difference in recognition of John Winston. Thank you for your many years of service as past president of the Natchitoches Parish Voters and Civic League, and for your achievements. And it says that this is presented to you on the 28th day of March in the year 2022, signed by Mayor Ronnie Williams, Jr., okay? And so we just want to honor you for your role in voter advocacy and making sure that people exercise that right and know that they have a voice. We've talked about many times how much that is a challenge, but you've been somebody who's been faithful and consistent at it, and we just appreciate that, what you've done in that capacity. Councilwoman at-large Smith, do you have any words to say?
Yes, sir, Mayor, if I might. I also have a plaque that I would like to read to Mr. Winston on behalf of Mr. Winston. And it says, in appreciation and recognition to Johnny Winston, notable past president, Natchitoches Parish Voters and Civic League, thank you for your many years of invaluable service, leadership, and dedication to the citizens and the Natchitoches, Louisiana community. And this is also presented on behalf of the city, Councilwoman at-large Betty Smith. We just want to thank you again, as the mayor said, for all you've done for Natchitoches.
All right, any other council members before we get a picture together? And also want to have Mr. John Winston say some things as well.
I just want to say congratulations on your retirement. Enjoy. Yes, indeed.
Righty? Okay. All right, Mr. Winston, won't you come to the mic, sir? Please state your first and last name, and then afterwards we'll grab a picture.
Thank you very much, Mayor and City Council. It's an honor to be honored, although that's not the reason that I work and continue to work in this community. I don't know if everybody know it, but I served on the city council here for 24 years. I ran for mayor twice, lost twice, but it was a good ride. And I didn't stop there. We had an opportunity to serve for several years as the president of the Natchitoches Voters and Civic League. And I had gotten to a point where it was time, it's time when you know when to say when. And although I'm not quitting, I haven't resigned from the community, I thought it was time to let somebody else step up and take that torch and run a little further, because I had gotten to a point, I don't know if you all know it, but I'm 79 years old. And if I live to see the 2nd of May, Randy, I'll be 80. And I think that's an accomplishment within itself.
Absolutely.
It is.
And I just hope that that's not I just hope that that's not the end. I hope I'll have many more years to go. And I'm just happy to have been a service to the community. And I'm going to be a supporter. My good friend J.W. Scarborough has stepped up to the plate and is now the new president of the Natchitoches Voters and Civic League. He has been a stalwart member of this community in many capacities as well. And I was just so happy to give him that gavel to say, go for it, and I'll support you. So that's what we're going to do. But I wanted to thank this mayor and the councilwoman at large for thinking of me enough to give me an award, because you didn't have to do it. I don't know if I've done anything to earn it. I hope that I have, but I don't know that, because all I was doing was just doing what I know how to do. And I want to thank you and the council for recognizing me today. Thank you so much. Y'all don't know how much that means to me. I appreciate it. And I just thank you. God bless you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Come on forward. We're gonna certainly well deserved. Each of us, we're gonna come up, take a picture with you, sir.
I just want to say, Mr. Winston, I've been trying to catch you, so you're getting a good deal tonight, 2 for 1.
Can everybody bunch up, please?
Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. Susie, look up. There you go.
Amen. I think I'm taking the video.
Right, thank you, sir. And certainly his successor to the organization, as he mentioned, is Mr. J.W. Scarborough. Good to see him here tonight as well. Next item on the agenda, we have a presentation from Mr. Cedric Floyd. And certainly want him to say what he needs to say about redistricting. Just kind of give us an update is why I asked Mr. Floyd to come. Really nothing more than that, and then allow council to ask any pertinent questions that may have. Thank you, sir.
Yep, yep.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening,
members of the
sir.
City Council, and other elected and appointed officials. With 40 years of providing redistricting services, Data Center is the most experienced redistricting company in the state. I'm Cedric Floyd, Chief Demographer and President. It's a pleasure for Data Center to perform redistricting services for the Natchitoches City Council based on the 2020 U.S. Census. The 2020 U.S. Census population for the city of Natchitoches is 18,039, down from 18,323 from the 2010 census, reflecting a population loss of 284, or 1.55%. As I have traveled the last year around the state, it's an undercount. Many people did not answer the census. It was during COVID, so most parishes have lost population based on the undercount. People did not answer the census. So it's consistent with what I found north and south, east and west. Consistent with state law 33:1371, the 2020 population for Natchitoches Parish has been applied to your 4 city council districts. And that is called a benchmark plan. That's what you have before you. And the population of District 1 is 4,089. District 2, 5,129. District 3, 4,795. And District 4, 4,026. The deviation of the plan is 24.46%. And that is dividing your city population into 4 districts, and that's your ideal district size of 4,510. And you subtract the largest district from the smallest district, which is District 2 is the largest district, is 5,129. From your smallest district, 4,026, that gives you a total of 1,103. And then you divide it back into your ideal district size, and that's how you get the deviation, which is 24.46%, which is above the 10% limit according to federal law. So with that being over 10%, we must redistrict the city council. Once redistricting has to take place, that is standard criteria for redistricting, and that's on your second page. I just want to go through that quickly. And since your last plan was pre-cleared by the Justice Department, so we're pretty much going to go with that foundation and move forward. And the basic criteria is, number 1, population equality. That means your 4 districts has to be within 10%. Compliance with the Voting Rights Act. Each district shall be compact, contiguous. That means a solid area, not going to the other area. You can consider incumbency. Consideration shall be given to natural, geographical, and political boundaries. Consideration shall be given to keep intact communities of established ties of interest. The next qualifying for office is December the 13th through the 15th, 2023, with primary elections March 23rd, 2024. So we must complete this task by the end of this year. With saying that we have to redistrict is a resolution that y'all could take up tonight or the next time you meet, just stating what I just stated. No changes have been done. It's just a resolution stating that you have received this information, and I'll read it for the record. Natchitoches City Council resolution, and you have a copy of that. Whereas the 2020 U.S. Census count has been completed, PL 94-171, redistricting data was delivered to the state of Louisiana in August 2021. Whereas the Natchitoches City Council under revised statute 33:1371 must make a determination whether redistricting is necessary with the 2020 U.S. Census population count. Whereas the Natchitoches City Council authorized a study to calculate the 2020 U.S. Census in each city council district. Whereas the current city council districts have the following 2020 census population, in which I've already stated in the benchmark plan. Whereas the overall deviation of the 4 city council districts is 24.46, which is more than double the legal limit. Now therefore be it resolved that the Natchitoches City Council hereby declares that a redistricting of the city council districts must commence to adjust the district's population to be within 10% deviation to the ideal district plan. Be it finally resolved that this resolution shall become effective immediately upon adoption by the Natchitoches City Council. So you could do it tonight, introduce it. It's a resolution. Just have the shape or form that I've given you the presentation. And between 9 December, I'll come back with your monitor, with the computer system, meet in groups, one by one, or a special city council meeting that we are redistrict. No plan has been done, just applying the 2020 census to the current plan, and through city council action or through ordinance, we must redistrict between 9 December. Any questions or comments or whatever?
I have a question. I know it doesn't matter at least, let me ask different. I believe it doesn't matter the percentage of completion, whether you have to redistrict or not. The numbers, what they come out to be, whether it's only 30% of people completed the census, if the numbers come out, you have to get redistricted, even if you have bad numbers. Isn't that correct?
100%.
Yeah.
It's the official count. And everybody's had undercount or overcount or whatever. These are the official numbers that the state of Louisiana will not let you have elections unless you adjust your lines to be under 10%. They should have sent that letter to you within the last 6 months telling you that you must redistrict to comply with state and federal law, or they will not let you qualify for office when it's time for you to qualify.
And so what I'm getting at, kind of telling the public, is this is one of those, when the census comes out and everyone says, you hear it everywhere, do the census so we can have good numbers. So we know if we're going to redistrict, we can do it correctly, we can do it that benefits our citizens. We don't have good numbers. And now we have to do it anyways, not knowing who lives where or how many people did we actually lose, did we gain people? We don't have a clue because we don't have good numbers, am I wrong?
100%.
So next time there's a census, please.
Fill it out.
Fill out your census.
Fill it out.
Right. But most people, a lot of people in your city did not fill out the census, you can tell.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Any other questions for Mr. Floyd? And since you say we have, did you put there's no deadline, we could do
To
this
the
next
end of this year, we're going to be finished
Before this
by
year.
August, because on a call and to your city clerk and set up meetings individually or groups of 2. If it's more than 2, it have to be a special council meeting to have workshops. And as many as it takes to work it through to have a plan.
Yep, so instead of amending the agenda tonight, we've got a couple other amendments we'll deal with. We'll just,
Yes.
next meeting, April 11th, I believe.
Yes, yeah, in terms of the resolution, yes, sir. And like I said, that look forward to working with each one of you or in groups or whatever it takes. Like I said, this is the benchmark plan. No work has been done. This is the 2020 census applied to your current districts, okay? All right? Thank you very much.
Thank
Looking
you,
forward to
Matt.
working with you.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Mr. Floyd.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Floyd, by the way, for being
Okay,
here.
yeah,
Thank you.
that's my wife of 38 years,
Wow.
3 kids.
Blessing.
Yes, and
Congratulations.
we've been traveling the state. She has traveled every inch with me for over a year. I think we've done about 40,000 miles.
Wow, that's awesome.
All right, anyway, thank you. And we're on the way to New Iberia tonight, and we're going to be in Baton Rouge on Wednesday. So, yeah, we're going to be in the New Iberia all day tomorrow in a workshop. Anyway, thank you very much. You're here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to
Looking forward
hold you
working
all
with
to what you told me earlier. We'll see you at the Christmas festival this year.
100%.
Okay. Certainly grateful for Mr. Floyd being here and giving us that bit of important information. Now we're moving on to ordinances final, and that is Councilman Nielsen.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 13 of 2022, an ordinance declaring certain buildings unsafe and recommending that same be demolished or put into repair to comply with the building code, authorizing notice to be served, fixing hearing date, and appointing curator to represent absentees. And this was introduced at the last meeting, and this is, of course, Hopeville Apartments, and move to adopt ordinance number 13 of 2022.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt ordinance number 13. I tell you what, council, if you, before I speak or any of you speak, we will allow our Zoom audience. Steve, you have your clock. We want to give them up to 5 minutes. Or we could tell from the time here. So it's 5:51. And so about 5:56. So we've got a Zoom audience. Hey, who's ever speaking first? I see there's a Robert and a Verlene Foley. Who's ever speaking first, just state your first, and when the other person who's not speaking first, state your first and last name, just
Yes,
for
sir.
the record, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Robert Parker. Believe it or not, I was just retained by Hopewell Partners Limited Partner and its managing member, Berlin Foley, around midnight last night, and saw that we have a very serious situation there, evolving from this project that has been sitting there, becoming an eyesore and creating problems for the city because it has not proceeded forward as originally planned by the developer. And there are some reasons why there's a action pending between Hopewell Partners and the former general contractor that was supposed to come in to perform the services of remediation and pulling those projects back into service for a community that I understand is sorely underserved by housing and in need of affordable housing. As a result of that lawsuit, this particular contractor walked off and abandoned the project, stole equipment, left it unprotected, and it has become an eyesore there in your fair city. And I do understand the passage of time that has elapsed associated with this ongoing situation. My review, after doing some additional research, I was up till like 4:30 this morning, going through all the information that had been provided me. And I understand that Sterling Bank had made certain representations to the prior administration with respect to this project being completed, and the contractor that they were working with failed to keep his word and failed to engage in any actions to move the project forward. So we are now faced with the city, willing and ready at this point, I understand, to take immediate action to condemn the property so that that eyesore can be alleviated in your community. I would ask, however, after speaking with my client and understanding the parameters, that we be allowed 30 days to get down there, get a new general contractor on site to start the cleanup process, as well as move the project forward, working with Sterling Bank and the Louisiana Housing Authority. I intend on being on the ground there in your community to personally engage with all of the principal parties, zoning and planning, the mayor, the city council members, as well as the bank and the housing authority, so that I can make sure that this project is back on track, as well as bringing the long dormant litigation between the former contractor that primarily is responsible for walking off the job and leaving it in a dilapidated state. I do understand the public concern, health and safety. In my speaking with members of your staff earlier, I understand that homeless people have moved onto the property, and that is not only a safety issue, public health issue, but it's a quality of life issue as well. So my client, as well as myself, are fully cognizant of the responsibility that we bear for this project in this current capacity, but we merely ask the city for its indulgence for 30 days for us to have an opportunity to get it back on track and move it forward and turn it into what it was originally intended to be.
Thank you, Mr. Robert. I think probably most of the council and maybe some members in the audience are wondering, and I'll ask this particular question. Certainly want to allow the council to ask what they might want to ask, but this may more so be directed to Ms. Foley. I don't know if it's Miss or Mrs. But my question would be is why now? Why not earlier? I mean, when we came in, so you're dealing with a basically new mayor, three members of the council. We gave a year to get this project going, and basically nothing has happened in a year to move the project to. So, I mean, obviously, we wanted this property to be developed, for it to be rehabbed, and just nothing's happened. And I don't know if any, Chantrell can answer, but I don't think we've heard from you.
No, yeah, you have not heard from me, and simply because initially what had happened was that I was instrumental I was the person that got funded under development. And there was besides the contractor, the syndicator, besides those problems, I was also instrumental in ensuring that we were able to keep the credits. But however, we needed to have more money under development, and at the time, the bank felt that since Louisiana housing I wasn't getting the favor that I needed, they felt that they could have probably engaged another developer that may have a little bit more connections in Louisiana housing. It turned out that, so I basically at the time, the direction of the bank was told that, hey, let's sign over your GP interest, at least, and let's see what's going to happen. So at least whoever is going to move forward will have, at least will have GP interest. But it turned out, just like you, I realized that, I'm still left holding the bank, so to speak. I'm still owner of Hopeville, and nothing has happened. I mean, just basically every time I'll call, it would be, oh, we have the contract, we have the construction loan, we're just waiting to do this, waiting to do that. And I just felt, since this situation was already bad, and the person that the bank felt comfortable with, I sort of let it happen, let it play itself out. To tell you the truth, just like you, nothing has been done. And really, I have a lot of experience. I've built a lot of developments in Louisiana, and I've had, there's always sometimes you have one or two problems, but this project is not, I'm not sure why I think the bank has been very, very good. So I'm not sure what happened with the developer, why it hasn't moved, but at this point, I'm actually still GP. And I realized, you know what? I need to get in front of Louisiana housing. There's a lot of ways that we can move this project forward. And in terms of, we are in a historic district. I can get historic tax credit. And instead of doing a 9% where I have to, unless Louisiana housing agrees to, I can actually go in now and do a bond financing. And that's it's not competitive. The last one was competitive. It's not competitive. I basically put an application in. I get the same type of credits. I could even change the whole, my intention is possibly to give back the credits and reapply for a new set of funding opportunities whereby the initial one, I know the city had a lot of problems with what was being built there. At the time, there was a need for veterans and homeless housing. And because the 9% tax credit is competitive, you tend to choose what the Louisiana housing is going to give you funding for. But if I choose a different path, which is a very quick path in the sense that it's not competitive, I can go right in. I can apply for the what you call 4% tax exempt tax bonds. It's affordable, but I can also put a market component in there.
Well,
So
hey, Ms.
as I was telling my
Ms.
attorney,
Foley, can you hear me?
yes.
Look, let me ask you this. Do you, and very briefly, please, because I know the council might want to remark, do you realistically now think you can do in 30 days what Sterling Bank couldn't do in 365?
The reality is Sterling Bank is not a developer. And that's, banks are not developers. So I think that was the whole problem right there. I think they meant, I do know they meant well, and I worked with them, but in me working with them, I give up, it's basically what has caused this situation to happen. As I said, still in bank meant well. It's just that the situation with the other developer just didn't work out. So consequently, nothing happened. But the reality is that the person that has the most to lose here, because when I don't build a development, it affects me in other districts. It even affects me in Louisiana. It kind of makes it hard for me to move forward. So it is my interest at this point, since, as you guys have said, nothing has been done. I mean, there was a lot of opportunities for things to be done, but nothing has been done. And I'm prepared to basically, you know, some of the things that I was talking to the gentleman today, well, I've been talking to him, and every time I talk to him, he's like, oh, we're closing, everything is fine, we're getting there. And there's nothing.
Well,
So anyways, my
let me say
intention
this.
is,
Ms. Foley,
if
I'm
I'm
sorry.
given the opportunity, this is not a 30 days thing. So I'll be honest with you. If I jump on street, like immediately, my intention would be the credits that I received to build a development, the better use would be to return those credits, reapply for more credits, but under a different program, which is not competitive. In Louisiana, it takes them about 2 to 3 months if in terms of approving it. With this situation, we can get them to expedite the funding in terms of they have to approve the bonds and they have to approve the credits.
Right.
But this is not competitive. And I do know, if I don't know how to do anything, I know how to put an application together, and I know how to get funded.
Right.
So I can,
Well,
I
thank
can
you,
do
Ms.
that.
Foley. Thank you so much, because I do want to allow, we do have other things on the agenda as well. I
Right.
do appreciate you for being here through Zoom, and I know council may have some things, there might be public comments as well. I will say, just as just remind us what happened almost a year ago today. You know, and I gladly led the charge to reverse the condemnation, because we were told that construction would start pretty much immediately. I think we had a video, and we just hold that in case we need to, but from my notes, I remember 90 days being stated. Now, this wasn't by you, but this was by representatives at the time from Sterling Bank. 90 days and nothing substantive. 180 days came, still nothing positive, and now 365 days, and the fence has been taken down. Windows haven't been boarded up. So those of us who voted and to reverse it, I mean, we were doing it so that this could become the housing that I know Mr. Robert noted earlier. But if nothing happens to them, they don't become housing for anybody. So, again, I appreciate what some members of the council did, but we've had firsthand experience with the process. We wanted to give opportunity to do that, but we can only do so much. We can't make the deal work. And again, I think we've been patient, we've been gracious, but for whatever reason, this deal just hasn't worked. And for those of us who live in this community, it's been, you know, people have said time and time again, an eyesore and unsafe to some extent, certainly. So again, I just want to make sure we're very clear as to, I think we've been very gracious and given of time. I want to allow council.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think I was gracious too in a wrong way, because I felt as though the bank knew what they were doing, and I think, as I said, they meant well. I even think the developer meant well, but I personally, I don't understand why it has moved forward.
Let's let the members of council, I don't know who wants to go
I don't
first.
think any of us have had an opportunity to meet with you prior to today. Your last representative was here, I think, back in December and November, and asked for 30 days. Of course, it's been over 90 days now, I want to say, maybe 60 to 90 days. We have not heard anything. Yes, he said 2 weeks. And so it's been more than 2 weeks. And I think we've all been more than fair to allow you time to get the funding that you need, the financing that you need, and nothing is going forward. And we're just sitting here waiting, and it's just an eyesore, as we said, and it's non-inhabitable. And I don't think we need to sit on it any longer. That's just my opinion.
But the thing is, you guys weren't working with me. This was a situation where.
We have worked with you. We have tried.
Okay, hold on, Ms. Fowler, give us a second. Let me allow the council to say some remarks, please. We've given you time. We got Councilwoman at-large Smith, who else?
I'll say,
Councilman Harrington.
and ma'am, I truly believe you're sincere about everything you stated and genuine, but I believe we've been more than helpful and more than forgiving than we've ever been in this situation. It ever has been required of us. And the mayor's mentioned a year, 365 days. That's how long he's been dealing with it.
Yeah.
I've been dealing with it for half a decade since I've been on the city council. That's how long Dale and I have been dealing with this. And it's been, we've heard these exact same excuses for half a decade. It's been going on before that, but that's how long I've been dealing with it. And I'm talking about the exact same excuses I've heard tonight. And we literally had years to get this done. COVID can't be an excuse, because this was years before COVID. So that we can't use that as an excuse or anything. And the thing that upsets me the most about it is we never give our own residents this much time. Ever. Not that I've ever seen. Our own residents who live here and pay taxes here have never received this much time. And that's what embarrasses me, that prior council, we gave them years.
Over a year and a half.
We've
2 years.
continued to. I understand why the mayor and the current council wants to, and I applaud them for trying. I know I was
We
against
tried.
it because I knew the history of it.
We wanted to see it
But I
come.
understand why. I do understand
we wanted
why.
to see it come.
But it's just, enough is enough. It's
agree.
gotten to the point where it's just kind of getting ridiculous, to be honest with you. It matters not if this is low-income housing. It matters not if this is some multi-million-dollar mansion. It doesn't matter what it is, what's going to be there. What matters is what it is right now and has been for years and has never moved forward, just in an abandoned building. As I've stated, I believe you're sincere. I do believe it, but it's time we have to be sincere and genuine with this as well. And I think we've given all we can and done far more than we ever should have.
Councilman Peter, you got some remarks?
Yes, I just want to say that I was one that stood in support of the development, because housing is a need here in the city of Natchitoches, but as you know, everyone has stated, it's been continual that we haven't seen any movement in the project. And so now I'm of the opinion that I think we should just move forward with the condemnation.
Councilman,
I would concur. We needed to see you guys years ago, and this is the first time we've had the opportunity to hear from either one of you, and it pretty much mirrors the last 3 major visits from the bank or any other developers. The property now has gotten to the point where I'm not convinced that it can be fixed without major repairs. We've heard it time and time again, and we never get any results. So from a safety side, it's time to move on.
Councilwoman Washington Eli?
No, I disagree with all the council members. I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to say. It's basically what the previous council members just related on. You know, if we gave you more time than we expected. So I would have loved to see more housing here, but it's like I haven't seen you. You know, this is my first time. You know, I'm like in shock, like I didn't know this was the person. I thought the other developments was the owner, but so I just don't have anything.
Yeah, as I said.
Yep.
this was-
Thank you, Council.
When you have a
Chantrell, is
situation-
there anything from you?
No, sir. I mean, I can concur with everything that's already been said. It's been quite some time, and with the structure being open to the elements at this time, and based upon what our building inspector has found, what we found, the condition of the building is 3 times worse than what it was when they first presented it. We haven't been contacted, The only site inspections that are done are the inspections that we go out to check to see if there's anyone living in the buildings, which we found that they are. When they first came before us, they did have windows. They did go in and take care of some of the interior, but now it's open to the public. It's been, open to the elements. The weather has gone in there and it's causing mold everywhere. The steps now have greenery growing out of the steps, so if anybody or any children decide to climb on that stuff, the fence is now gone. There is no safety precautions anywhere. We got kids that summertime's coming, they're gonna be wanting to walk to the pool, they're gonna be wanting to go to the ball fields. And you know how children are. They see an empty building and the first thing they wanna do is run up the stairs. And what's gonna happen when those kids run on those stairs and the stairs collapse?
It's a liability for us.
It is,
We
and they
can't
are
have
falling
that.
in.
Yes.
The roof is leaking. The whole balcony should have been gone. It's hanging, it's barely hanging on by a thread. If a good, strong wind comes through here again, I'm pretty sure that the balconies will fall. So according to planning and zoning, we recommend that these structures not be allowed to continue to stand.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Rock, for your comments. And just before I open up the public comments, up to 3 minutes, just what Councilwoman Washington Eli said about we know there's a need for affordable housing. There's a need for housing at many levels. I mentioned this at the last meeting. If your eyes are not open, well, let me say it like this: Natchitoches is certainly a growing place, and we're grateful for that. So that means we do need housing. So I'm an advocate for housing. Affordable workforce housing, upper level housing, and again, we were hopeful that this would happen based on our action to reverse the condemnation, but there just hasn't been the movement. Public comments at this time, up to 3 minutes, please. If you come into the microphone, state your first and last name, and then have what remarks you have. I'll be keeping the time.
Yes, my name is Mary Striegel. I live at 329 Poet Street. I've worked in historic preservation for 27 years. And being a neighbor of this building, what I can tell you is that when the project first started, the wiring was replaced on it, walls were reconfigured, and then the project stopped. And wires were stolen from the building, materials were stolen, and now, as zoning and planning says, it's been open to the elements. 5 years of a building open to elements with windows broken out, with roofs deteriorating, leads to a situation where it might be able to be rehabilitated, but the cost has grown exponentially. Also consider the cost of materials that have gone up since COVID has hit, and supply chains. I don't see any progress that could be made in rehabbing that building or even starting on the building in the 30-day grace period they're asking for. And they've had many, many years to take care of the issue. I would ask the City Council to vote against giving them more time and to vote for condemnation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay. We've had council comments, public comments, and no more. Ms. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT,
Yes.
All right, that motion carries to approve this ordinance to recommend to demolish or bring and repair the Hopeville apartments, okay? All righty. Moving on. Thank you all for being,
Thank you.
thank you all for being on today, Mr. Robert and Mrs.
May I
Fuller.
ask a question? Thank you for the vote and thank you for your time. What is the process going forward from here? Since the ordinance has passed, is there a time frame for reconsideration, or what is the process going forward before the condemnation process formally starts?
Ms. Crop?
If you like, if you want to contact me after the meeting, I can give you the ordinance and go into details what you need to know.
Yes, ma'am. I'd be more than glad to do so. Can I have a phone number to reach you, please?
318-357-3840. Or if you need my email address, I can give you that also.
Yes, ma'am, please.
It's going to be sroque, which is ROQUE, @natchitochesla.gov.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking with you a little later today.
Sure thing.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Appreciate you.
Thank y'all for joining.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, y'all. Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 14. That's Councilman PT.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 14 of 2022, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Natchitoches to award the bid for fiscal year 2021 through 2022, Phase 1 street rehabilitation. Whereas this bid was advertised in the Natchitoches Times on January 27th, February 3rd, and February 10th of 2022 in accordance with the law. The above appointed committee members recommended the city award the bid to the lowest bidder, Williams Equipment Services, LLC, in the amount of $1,177,046.23. And I so move that we approve ordinance number 14.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to approve this ordinance, and it's those streets we've already talked about, just to remind you, and Steve's going to get it back on the presentation, but the portion of St. Clair, we mentioned from Williams to East, is that 4th? East 5th, I think.
Fifth.
East 5th. Sadia Street, the entirety of that street, a portion of Amulet, and then Mayfield Street, Swanee Street, Breed Avenue, Peninsula Drive. All right, those are those streets up there. So again, Council, you've known about those. I don't know if there are any additional questions or comments.
Good list.
And one of the town halls we had recently, one person said, that's never enough money for streets, right? So it's always, you're always behind, you're in a deficit, you need more money for streets than you actually have. So, but we are, hoping to approve some of the ARPA money to use for some additional streets, and that would actually give us more streets to complete than what was in our original budget that we discussed. So, all right, any other public comment or any public comments this time? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT,
Yes.
All right, that motion carries as well. Next item is ordinance number 15, Councilwoman Washington Eli.
Ordinance number 15 of 2022, the ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Natchitoches to award the bid for the Christmas light supply. And this was read at the last meeting, and I move to adopt ordinance number 15 of 2022.
Second.
Okay, this, I think we all know, is pretty routine, being the city of lights that we are. Again, I can say nobody does Christmas better than we do, and what comes along with that is that you gotta resupply. You gotta make sure your stock is good or your supply is good. So this is just doing that particular activity that happens customarily. Any other comments or questions about this
No,
piece?
sir.
Okay, any public comments about this ordinance number? All right, seeing none, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries as well. The next item is number 16, ordinance number 16, that's Councilman PT.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 16 of 2022, an ordinance amending Chapter 6 of the City of Natchitoches Code of Ordinance by adding sections 6 through 10, delegation of authority for non-commissioned animal control officers to issue misdemeanor summons, and 6 through 11, non-commissioned animal control officer enforcement for misdemeanor violations, and providing for an effective date. And I so move that ordinance number 16 be adopted.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Chief, are there some remarks you want to make about this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and members of the council and those present, basically this ordinance would allow our animal control officers to have the ability to summons individuals per our city ordinances as far as violations for animal control. Typically, what we've done in the past is that every animal control officer has participated in a reserve academy where they are after completion of that, they get commissioned as officers and have all the arrest powers that go forth with. But due to changes in the law, a law that was passed in 2017, we no longer have the ability to commission reserve officers. They have to attend a 17-week academy, the same as a full-time officer, and for those who volunteer their time and to the citizens in the community, that's kind of taxing, especially if they have full-time jobs. So in this ordinance, it would allow us to be able to have the animal control officers respond to those misdemeanor type complaints, issue summons so that they could be brought before the city court in reference to compliance with that. Any serious crime that rose to the level of felonies, which in most cases we would already assign that to an investigator to assist with that serious case. But this would give us the ability to keep our officers on patrol versus tying them up going to take care of minor offenses that could be resolved by the animal control officer.
And I think Chief said the most important thing, keep our folks who are supposed to be on patrol, so this is what this will do.
Yes, sir.
Any comments or questions, council, about it? All right, any public comments about this particular ordinance? All right, seeing none, Ms. Stacy, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries as well. Next item is ordinance number 17, and that's Councilman Harrington.
Ordinance number 17 of 2022, an ordinance amending and restating ordinance number 12 of 2022 of the City of Natchitoches, Louisiana, approving that instrument titled Cooperative Endeavor Agreement between the City of Natchitoches and Natchitoches CFA LLC, which agreement provides for cost sharing for the installation of infrastructure, including traffic and drainage, which improvements will serve the proposed restaurant facility at the corner of East 5th Street and Highway 494, as well as provide for upgrades to the existing infrastructure and accommodate future development in the area, prescribing terms and conditions for said agreement, and authorizing the mayor of the City of Natchitoches, Ronnie Williams, Jr., to execute same. I read by title only, as this was introduced before, and I move to adopt number 17 of 2022.
I second.
Motion made and seconded. I think Councilman Harrington said it. It's just really a name change, right? Chick-fil-A of Natchitoches or something like that. They're changing it to.
Yes, yes.
So they wanted Natchitoches Chick-fil-A LLC is what they wanted, okay? All right. Any comments or questions from the council? Any public comments or questions? Yes, ma'am. Will you come to the microphone, please? State your first and last name.
Sorry, it's really just a clarification. Betty Maroney of 113 Caffey. So is this a new Chick-fil-A that's coming in over there by Cane's? That's what this is?
It's
Okay.
a full Chick-fil-A.
No. The work that you see right now by Cane's, that's Arby's.
Okay.
That's Arby's.
This is catty-corner to Cane's, that big, empty.
Where the old Natchitoches grocery or whatever that was.
That would be
the
older
old-
than I've been here, thank you.
Yeah, wooden-
Okay, well, I
wooden
just,
building, the
at
big
first I just thought it was
empty lot.
something we were doing to the new, the building that Chick-fil-A's in right now, and then I was just confused as to where this was.
It's a full-blown Chick-fil-A
Sure,
with
okay.
drive-through and.
That's all, just clarification. Thank you.
Look, yeah, happy to answer. All right, any other clarifications needed? And again, it's, as Harrington was explaining, it's at the corner of East 5th and Kaiser is where this one be. You may have seen some flags there already. Yep. All right, seeing that there are no other comments or questions, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries also. Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 19, it's Councilman Nielsen.
Thank you, Mayor. This, I'll read in title only as it was introduced at the last meeting. Ordinance number 19 of 2022. An ordinance authorizing the City of Natchitoches to enact an ordinance relative to the disposal of adjudicated property in accordance with Louisiana RS 472201, disposal of adjudicated property. And I move to adopt ordinance number 19 of 2022.
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded. This piece, as we discussed last time, will basically aid us in, very simply beautifying Natchitoches more quickly, allowing those adjudicated properties to people who are interested to deal directly with the City of Natchitoches. We do have some administrative work to do, but I want to allow Chantrell to add any comments that she wants to at this time.
Well, I think this is going to actually help us with our blight issues. Most of the adjudicated property that we have, well, all of it is maintained by the city. So we can get that property back on the tax roll, start making a little bit of money on it. It'll reduce our expense of maintaining that property greatly.
And beautify the neighborhood, get some community renewal going. So yeah, in addition to what you said. Comments or questions, council?
Now, I just want to say, I think also may give residents living next to these blighted properties an opportunity to even own that particular property. They've kept it up for a certain length of time, which is, I think it's a good thing. If you're keeping yours up, you want something next to you to also be looking decent.
Correct.
So I think it's going to help the neighborhood and the city of Natchitoches all together. Yeah.
Blighted property is very difficult, and it can take a long time to get it off the books, but we've got, as Chantrell said last meeting, we've got property that's been on the books 20 or 30 years. We need to get it back out and on the rolls.
And that'll increase property ownership.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll
like it.
help, so.
Okay. Any public comments about this? Ordinance number 19, is it this I'm specifically referring to? Okay. Seeing none, roll call vote, Ms. Sexton.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, this next item or next move is a motion to remove, I ask for a motion to remove ordinance number 20 of 2022 from the agenda. And Alex is not here today, he's out of town, but the reason being is that there may be a different, more simplified way for us to finance the project at the depot and also cover the expenditures that we being the city, incurred with the 6th Street building where they're housing artifacts. So that's why this motion is asking us to remove it at this particular time.
Mayor, I make a motion that we remove ordinance number 020 of 2022 from the agenda.
A second.
Okay? Motion was made and seconded. Any additional questions about that, or any questions, I'm sorry, comments? Any public comments or questions? All right, seeing none, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Thank you, council. The next move is a motion to table ordinance number 21 of 2022. And I tell you, and this is really just out of our hands in terms of the contract with CLECO is just not ready at this point. So we're just going to table it and, or ask that you would
Mayor,
table it. Then
I make a motion to table ordinance number 21 of 2022.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Any questions or comments?
No.
Public questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Now we're going to introduce some things, and the first one is ordinance number 22. That's Councilwoman at Large Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 022 of 2022 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Natchitoches to award the bid for the purchase of one 750 kVA pad mount transformer. Whereas resolution number 15 of 2022 was passed by the city council on February 14, 2022, and whereas this bid was advertised in the Natchitoches Times on February 17th, February 24th, and March 3rd of 2022 in accordance with law, and whereas three bid proposals were received, being Westco Distribution of Lafayette, Louisiana, $32,568, Gresco Utility Supply from Ball, Louisiana, $52,520, Stewart C. Irby Company, Shreveport, Louisiana, $63,064. Whereas the above appointed committee members, Sonia McClellan, Ed Lee, Matt Anderson, and Eddie Harrington, recommended that the award bid go to the lowest bidder, being Westco Distribution of Lafayette, in the amount of $32,568. And this is for, I move for adoption of this ordinance.
Oh, no, it's just
For
being introduced.
introduction, sorry, for
Yeah.
introduction.
Okay, so again, Matt's not here. He's headed to a conference in New Orleans. But I know this has something to do with power. So, yeah, so but honestly, we have to keep some of these.
Everybody needs one of these.
Yeah, we keep some
Brandon?
of these on hand and to kind of somewhat keep it stocked in the purchasing over there on Sabine Street. So, but this is just being introduced. Matt will be here next time to tell us exactly if you're interested in that kind of thing, okay? All right, any questions from council, anybody? Public comments, questions? All right, Matt can handle us in a couple weeks, all right? Next one is Councilman Harrington, ordinance number 23 of 2022.
Ordinance number 23 of 2022, an ordinance approving the conveyance of the hangar located on Lot 3 of the Natchitoches Regional Airport to Mark Milliken for the consideration of $41,003, authorizing the mayor of the city of Natchitoches, Ronnie Williams, to execute a bill of sale on behalf of the city for the conveyance of the hangar and to execute any and all other related documents that might be necessary and proper to provide for advertising and a savings clause. And this was, there were 2 requests for proposals, which were received and opened as follows. It was Mark Milliken for $41,003 and Dean Lemoyne for $28,150. And this is for introduction only.
Okay. And again, normally Ed explains these airport matters, as we have another piece as well, but we went out for bid, and basically, Mr. Milliken's bid was the better one, okay? And I'm sure it's tied to the next one as well. Any comments or questions, council? Any public comments? All right, seeing none, again, just for introduction. So we'll move on to the next item, which is Councilman PT. It's ordinance number 24, and it's related to, should be related to the bid.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 24 of 2022, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Natchitoches, Ronnie Williams, to execute a lease in favor of Mark Milliken of Lot 3 as shown on the airport layout plan of April 12, 1994, and further providing for advertising of the lease and effective date. Whereas the city of Natchitoches is the owner of those lots shown in the airport layout plan of April 12, 1994, and more particularly is the owner of Lot 3 as shown and depicted on the layout plan. Whereas further, the city has now been approached by Mark Milliken, who desires to acquire the hangar located on Lot 3 and enter into a lease of Lot 3 from the city of Natchitoches. Whereas further, the terms proposed lease are for a 10-year period with consideration for an annual rental price of $2,178.57. And this is for introduction only.
Per year.
Okay. All right, any comments or questions, council? All right, any public comments or questions? Again, this is introduced today. It'll be voted on our meeting on the 11th. All right. Mr. Milliken, you'll be here at that time as well? Okay. So if there are any remarks, I'm sure you'll make them at that time. All right, good to see you tonight, sir. All righty. So we're moving on from that. Our next movement is, I want to ask the council to get a motion to amend the agenda to add ordinance number 25 of 2022.
Mayor, I so move that we amend the agenda to add ordinance number 25 of 2022.
Second.
All right, motion been made and seconded. We do need your unanimous support. Any questions about this piece, council? All right. No
Gonna
questions.
explain it to us.
Well, yeah. What happened is we felt we needed to have a hire by date on there, which is February 1st. So we're going to actually introduce it again. I'm going to introduce it tonight and vote on it the 11th. We would have originally voted on it, but from discussion with department heads and, some folks in finance, thought it's best to have that language in there. So we have a hire by date, and what else did we have, Ms. Stacy, to be?
We just added a line. It says, whereas this will be the first of 2 payments for personnel employed as of February 1st, 2022.
So we wanted to add that line to make
Gives you
sure.
that higher date, yeah.
Hire by date, to be clear, and also to make sure that this, even though it's 2 payments, it's really a one-time payment. We're just splitting them up. Okay?
Mayor, I have a question. I was asked this question last week. I have several, maybe like 4 or 5 that's on workers' comp. Would they be receiving this or no?
So they're not currently working.
Yeah, but they are on workers' comp.
They're on workman's comp.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think if they're on the roster still, so workers' comp, they're still getting a paycheck.
Right.
Yeah. As long as they were, and it sounds like all of them would be, as long as they were here before February 1st or hired by February 1st, not after, then they would be.
Okay.
They would qualify.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks for the question. All right. So the motion is to amend the agenda to add this. Any public comments or questions? Seeing none? Roll call vote?
Eli?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
–
Harrington?
Yes.
Petey?
Yes.
All righty. Now, Councilman Nielsen is the one who's reading ordinance number 25.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 25 of 2022, an ordinance to designate funds from the American Rescue Plan to the workers within the City of Natchitoches employed in critical infrastructure sectors and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Whereas the City of Natchitoches is a municipality located in the state of Louisiana, Parish of Natchitoches, governed under a home rule charter and code of ordinances adopted by ordinance number 5 of 1977, and whereas further, Section 1310 of Title 39 of Louisiana Revised Statutes 1950, as amended, requires that when there has been a change in operations upon the original adopted budget was developed, the governing authority shall adopt the budget amendment in an open meeting to reflect such change. Section 2 of the charter, the Home Rule Charter of the city, approved by the Charter Commission on July 7, 1975, and the voters in election of November 1, 1975, requires that any appropriation of funds by the city be enacted by an ordinance of City Council of the city, acting as the governing authority thereof. And whereas the American Rescue Plan of 2021, enacted by the 117th Congress of the United States of America, appropriated $795,919.50 to the state of Louisiana, which was then appropriated to the city for the purposes of providing compensation to workers in critical infrastructure sectors who regularly perform in-person work, interact with others at work, or physically handle items by others, essential worker compensation. And whereas this will be the first payment for personnel employed as of February 1st, 2022, and whereas further, it's the desire of this governing authority to appropriate the essential worker compensation to be expended at the direction of the mayor or the administrative designee of the mayor appointed or to be appointed with the approval of the governing authority, the finance director. And this is for introduction.
Yes, sir. It's been introduced again to add, because we added that little piece to it. Okay? Any questions or comments, council, about this? Any public comments? All right, again, this will be voted on. We're still targeting the April 22nd payout date to employees who work with the city, whatever their status may be. Okay? All right. The next thing we have, just some announcements, and we've got Next meeting is April 11th. We're back to open seat Fridays. I had a good group of people stop by and express some things, and I'll be following up on a couple of them this week. But that's great, from 9 to 11. Again, we are making sure everybody knows about emergency rental assistance program, and that's for individuals. I think they're tying it to COVID, as it says there, for renters or landlords seeking financial assistance with rent or utilities due to COVID-19. So just want to make sure our community, knows about that. We have sent out some information to some organizations to make sure it gets announced. So they have a way to call and a way to do it online. I think the online version is what they're saying right now. They're taking because they're kind of short-staffed with it or can't handle the capacity. We're always encouraging people to download the Go Natchitoches app so you know what's going on in Natchitoches. There's usually a lot, but you just want to make sure some people don't know, but that app is one way that you know. And then regroup. We never know when an emergency is going to. Thankfully, we haven't. Let's knock on some wood. Here goes a little wood. Thankfully, we haven't had anything in a while. But if we do, we've got that messenger service where we're able to provide those notifications directly to one's phone. I do want to say welcome, Mrs. Clarissa Brown-Smith, here tonight for our first official meeting. So she's certainly hit the ground running, and we appreciate what she adds to the city of Natchitoches in the finance director. And then also Mr. Jonathan Blake. This is his first in-person meeting with us. He's been doing some work, particularly with Park Natchitoches, and I know some other things legally that we have to deal with. But appreciate you, sir. You didn't get to say much tonight, so that's good though. That's good. So at this time, council, I will hear a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made. Do we have a second? I think we got a couple seconds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank